Once again, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen.
Thank you very much.
Like I said, Majority Leader at the Senate. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Sam, and all the viewers of Citizen TV. We thank God we crossed 2019.
Yes.
And we look forward to a very fruitful and successful year.
Talking about success in the year 2019, we have had quite a start politically in the year 2019. We've seen a Jubilee House that is, what do I call it, some turmoil that is coming from within. We've seen the Vice Chairperson making quite some statements. Now he is no longer the Vice Chairperson. There has been the fight, the contestation from different members of the party saying that we need the endorsement of the President for Deputy President for 2022. Why would we start the year like this, and where are we headed in 2019?
I think, first of all, we are facing reality. Everything in the country, not just about Jubilee Party, not just about the economy, everything must be planned around succession of 2022. The conversation about 2022 you hear across the country is not just about elections, it's about also planning. If you go to private sector now, their plans will be about how will the succession of 2022 happen, what are the policies that government are putting in place now, will those policies be continued? The anxiety you see in all sectors, if you go to economy, if you go to political, if you go to social, including churches, prayers about what should be in the future, is about planning for the future. Now, the anxiety you see, the little bit of anxiety you saw within Jubilee is just part of that overall discussion across the country. Remember that Jubilee is the biggest political party we have in the country now, with the greatest number of members. I would be worried some if there was not some noise from Jubilee, because it is where there is some noise that where you get some life. Yeah, people are having conversation, discussion. The reality is dawning. It is in our party that are actually going to our presidential candidate is going to exit. So the anxiety around what will happen, both locally, regionally, from where the president comes from, but also nationally, is expected. And what we should be conversing as a country is, did we plan for succession? You know, in our all plans, including Big Four agenda and all that, have we put in place succession politics? Because unlike 2002, and 2013, we should be more prepared as we grow as a country in handling that kind of politics.
But Senator, do you think that's fair? I mean, the election, the repeat presidential election was October 2017. It's just about 14 months since that time. Why should we be talking about succession of 2022, yet there's work to be done? The Big Four agenda has not effectively kicked off.
Sam, if you look at succession of 2022 about who should be elected, then you are wrong. Yeah? You should look at it about how do we plan our politics around development, around roads, around Big Four, around leadership? Because you know you are missing one point. The pillars of development of this country includes leadership. Yeah, it includes democracy, good governance. In fact, the complaint in the private sector, if you listen in the private sector, people saying that we don't want politics, we don't want bickering. They are not actually saying we don't want good politics. They are saying that we should plan our country in such a way that the politics, in fact, do you know what the president and the former prime minister are doing is to prepare the country for future 2022, 2027, 2032 politically that will be more sober, more organized. The thing that we should do as a country, and it's unfair to confine this to Jubilee, because you are talking about discussion about whether there is a breakup in Jubilee, whether the noise that we are listening from Jubilee is about division within Jubilee. I think that is something neither here nor there. It's so minute. We are discussing about, it's not Jubilee alone where there's a discussion about next president. ODM are grappling with that issue. You've had my colleague, my counterpart, Senator Orengo, several times insisting who should run for the presidency. Right. You've seen ANC, you know, all the time working on what to do. You saw Wiper. You saw even Wiper Party doing that. It's a healthy conversation about the future. The thing we should be asking as a country is that, is this conversation being undertaken in an environment that demonstrates that our politics are mature? If you come to Jubilee as a party itself, we are very proud as a party to have successfully brought together various political parties and people from different regions to come to the political party. The future of Jubilee, the noise that you had within Jubilee, is because of the sensitivity the members have towards an experiment that had never been done in Kenya since Kanu. And people are careful not to rock that kind of arrangement, because We projected ourselves in the last elections as an example for other parties to emulate. And we even insisted and told our friends, if it was possible for NASA to conglomerate and become one political party, then we would have a political environment that issues are going to be mobilized around party. If you hear the conversation that is beginning to emerge, yeah, everybody's talking about we want to see the president as a tribe, we want to see the president as a region. That is what we were getting out of the way. We want to ensure that in the future, now and in the future, a conversation about developing the country, no matter what corner of the country, should be removed from a conversation about ethnicity and ethnic communities to be brought to a political party and a government structure.
All right. On the 21st of October 2018, the president and the deputy president were in Nandi, Kapsabet showground. Were you there?
I was there.
And some of the speakers who were there, your colleague Samson Cherargei and the Nandi governor, Stephen Sang, were telling the president that we want you to confirm that you will keep your word for deputy president come 2022. And there has been quite a conversation from different corners indicating that we need that word from the president. The president, when it was put to him a few weeks ago, towards the end of last year, indicated that his focus is about making sure that he's able to achieve his legacy and dream for the country. What do you think?
About President's confirmation?
Where do you sit in this conversation about the president endorsing the DP for 2022?
First of all, the president doesn't need to endorse the DP for publicly to demonstrate that he's supporting the DP. Number two, people must realize that we are building a political party where William Ruto is not an automatic presidential candidate. And I think if that sinks in everybody's mind, that if you look at Democrats in American Democratic Party, if you look at the Republican Party, they will start the elections this year. Yeah, and yes, this year, in preparation for campaigning, looking for primaries, the primaries. And if you saw Donald Trump, he was one among, was it 16 among 14 candidates, and Hillary Clinton, who was sort of an incumbent, had about 8 competitors to run against. We are building a political party called Jubilee, where in 2022, we hope that in the primaries, William Ruto, although he is the front runner, there will be other candidates that will want to seek for that position, and that there will be a fair environment where after the nomination, now the president will formally take position as a member, as a senior member of the party and a party leader of Jubilee. So to push the president to say he must endorse the deputy president, he must do this kind of thing, is actually to preempt a political process that is meant to unite the party. What should be done within Jubilee is this. We need the managers, the people who are working in office. Their job is not to build roads, their job is not to make laws, their job is not to make decisions in courts. Their job every day is to plan a party that attracts as many people as possible. It should be our responsibility as Jubilee not to chase people out, but to bring as many people as possible, including competitors, if we are lucky, for example, to get someone, let's say for the sake of argument, Musalia Mudavadi or Raila Odinga, that he joins Jubilee and he wants to compete with William Ruto. We will be lucky as a party if that can be squared in the primaries, and then we will have a candidate that will project as a political party. There will be people within the party itself that will endorse various candidates, but ultimately the candidate that we are going to get to run for the office should be the one that we have chosen as a party. My conversation about the reason why there was noise a little bit about management of the party is that we found 1 or 2 people were running away from that vision of preparing a party that is going to attract more people rather than just chasing certain people.
And so, Senator Murkomen,
and I want to emphasize some. Political party managers should continue maintaining the neutrality that is required to attract as many competitors as possible. In the meantime, supporting government agenda and the leadership of the party that is existing. Before
I ask you the next question, I want us to listen to what the former vice chairperson of Jubilee, that is David Murathi, had to say over the weekend. Let's just listen to his sentiments in as far as this conversation is concerned.
Going forward, the Stop Ruto movement which we are going to start, there is nothing, no stopping it. So let them assemble their troops, we will assemble ours, and you will see them very soon. There is going to be a vice chair of Jubilee, all right? I'm out, okay? There is going to be formations, and it will be up to Kenyans, and we have no problem. Let the best side win.
Well, of course, Murathe has since left the leadership of the party, and I saw a tweet from you congratulating the president and the deputy president for restoring order in the party. And of course, Governor Anne Waiguru saying that we now need elections in the Jubilee Party. So how do you reconcile these kind of statements versus what has been happening, what, like I said, Samson Cherargei said, Governor Sang said, and what has been said by other members of parliament, like the gentleman from Kimilili, Didmas Baraza, and Silvana Sosoro from South Mugirango?
My take is that, you know, I am a NEC member of Jubilee. So I used to sit with Murathe in the National Executive Committee of Jubilee. And it's unfortunate that he had to resign because of the manner in which he was no longer fit to hold the office that he was holding. Are you saying he was evicted? Well, have you heard the Kiswahili word that says, ukiona vyaelea vimeundwa? Yeah, nothing just happens. And I think we congratulate him for taking and accepting the position he took. But remember that he's still... No. First of all, you say you congratulated the president and the deputy. Absolutely. Are they the ones that forced him out? You see, Sam, let me tell you something. The president and the deputy, I didn't congratulate them as president and deputy. I congratulated them as party leader and deputy party leader. You heard our colleague when he was resigning saying that there was consultation within the party. Then you should make certain conclusions as a journalist that what consultation meant. But that is now water under the bridge. What I want us to focus is this. Number one is I want to congratulate him for taking that decision gracefully. But number two, David Murathe is still a member of our party. And I am sure that he will have an opportunity to serve again in future in different capacity for our country. I will extend my message to David Murathe that we need you in the party. We need as many people as possible in Jubilee Party. We need reconciliation and reconciliatory tone in terms of managing our party. We need a country that is more united, that is not going to campaign against individuals based on as an individual, but mobilizing the country around parties. And you saw, and I saw him in various interviews when he was insisting that this country, and insisted that this country must have political parties that can be emulated in the world. And I think David Murathe can still be useful to our party going forward. He may retrace his steps. Some of us are willing to have conversation with such people, him or any other person who may have a contrary opinion. I think going forward as a nation, we must project this image of reconciliation. You know, there is something, Sam, which is a contradiction. Right. We cannot in Jubilee say that we support the president to bring opposition leader and work with us, an opposition leader whom they used to insult each other, who insulted the president so badly, and say that as a result of that unity, you know, we break our relationship at home. No, I'm just saying it will be a contradiction. In fact, a strong president to unite the country will depend on a strong foundation of the party where it comes from. And, you know, politics is unlike what the Bible says, that there was a man who left, you know, 99 sheep to go and look for one. In politics, you don't leave 99 to go and look for one. You ensure that 99 are safe, and then you bring one inside. And I think for that reason, we will not want to pursue this kind of an agenda that says that as long as there is a handshake, we can break the party, or we can break relationships. You know, remember how people have been straining this, and I want you in the media to also help us, because you are the ones who are funding this kind of conversation. Every time the president and the former prime minister meets, or they are in a meeting like they did yesterday, and the deputy president is not there, and you know, all that kind of thing, the conversation has always been that the president is running away from the deputy, because we come from a history as a country where relationships and trust is not there. But I want us to build a new Kenya. So do you now trust the relationship between the former prime minister and the president? Why not? Why not? I mean, honestly, if we are going to say... what was that Damascus moment? Because previously you have opposed that relationship, saying that it's not clear, the Building Bridges initiative is not clear to you. You didn't even, you weren't confident in as far as the agenda is concerned. No, I was among the first people, even to host the former prime minister in my county. And I was among the first people that say that the president and deputy did a fantastic job. Deputy president was among the first people to congratulate them for doing what they did. What we were against is a misinterpretation of that kind of relationship to mean we are going to break Jubilee, that there's squabbles within Jubilee, that, you know, we will not have competition between ODM and Jubilee going forward. By the way, let me tell you something. I admire the management of ODM, and I admire the leadership of ODM party, despite the all challenges they have, that even during the handshake moment, the former Prime Minister called his party members, explained, and every time you will hear Jubilee, ODM NEC has said this, ODM party organs have said this. I admire the fact that they continue building their party. They are our competitors, the second largest party in the country after ours. We should emulate certain things from them because they have been able to survive over 10 years. For us who are about 5 years, we should learn something from ODM and improve it by ensuring that also our party is working well, facilitating an environment that will, even us, even party officials of Jubilee and ODM should be able to be meeting and exchange ideas and say, you know, this is what we want to see in the management of political parties in the country. That kind of environment, I have no problem. That is where maturity comes in terms of running this politics. The unfortunate thing, this is a contradiction we've been saying, is that we also want the party leadership to extend this kind of relationship they have downwards, because we don't want to see party members like Aisha Juma, for example, being punished for relating with the Deputy President, yet we are saying we want to have a handshake working moment. We don't want people like Bishop Titus Kamala and Murunga in Western, and I saw in the newspaper today, where ANC is telling them that we will expel you, remove you because you had a meeting with the Deputy President, who is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. That kind of contradiction is what we have to work against it, and ensure that we have now an environment where when that handshake is meant a handshake, it even means that that voter on the ground, the Jubilee and ODM competitor somewhere on the ground, can be able to sit down and have conversation.
So when you look at the Jubilee Party, like I said, since its formation in 2016, there was an attempt to have party elections, and that was shelved. And you had an interim team that apparently should serve until 2020. And since election, you have not had a meeting of the Jubilee Party. The only things that you have had at State House are parliamentary group meetings. So where do you see this relationship within the party, even as you approach 2022? It's 3 years plus a couple of months to that time. How will you gel as a party so that you move on in a common agenda?
As I told you, as a NEC member and as a leader of the party in the Senate, we must admit when we are wrong. And one of the things we must admit as Jubilee is that we have not met more often. In fact, the noise you see all the time, not just the party as an organ, but even the PG. If we had more meetings in the PG, the issues you see in public would have been thrashed out in those PG. I suppose that the president last year, you know, the pressure that came with the elections, the issues that dealt with formation and establishment of the handshake. We haven't even had a briefing of what the Building Bridges initiative is doing within our party. I know the ODM party have had, their briefing. I think this year, I believe that the president now will escalate that conversation to that direction, meeting within the party more often. He's the party leader. We depend on him to call for the party meetings and his leadership and direction. And he can delegate that some of the responsibility to Honorable Tuju, who is the Secretary General of the party. He can delegate some of it to his deputy party leader. He can submit some of them to us in Parliament, who are party leaders in Parliament, for certain things to be organized. I think if we do that, because let me tell you, when we were forming this party, I was in the committee that worked on the constitution and all that kind of thing. The president was so categorical. In fact, when he visited South Africa and he visited China, he's always taken a delegation from the party to learn from, how parties are organized for years. And I think it means well when he says things must be planned for many years to come. And we must see Jubilee not in the eyes of William Ruto alone. We must see it in the eyes of those who will come after us. And I hope, we will not kill this idea of bringing parties together to end ethnicity within formations of political parties.
Someone is saying on SMS line 22422, Murkomen is really trying hard to appear holier than thou, yet that is not the message we see him preach outside. And that's why I asked you the question, when was this Damascus moment that you realized that things are actually working? And I want to coin that with the question about the
Building Bridges initiative.
Yes, because you said that the Jubilee Party has not been briefed on this. First of all, as a person, as Senator Murkomen, are you in support of this Building Bridges initiative? Yes
As I said, let me come so that I come to the yes or not issue. We are judged in this country by sound bites. The only reason why someone would stand somewhere and say, Murkomen does not support certain thing, if you ask them which one, if you ask someone to give you one single clip that demonstrates that Murkomen has not supported a particular thing, they will never give you. So the problem is we become a mob justice nation, judge people by sound bites. Even sometimes those sound bites are run in media and at less than, half a minute, actually less than 10 seconds, it becomes the conclusive moment to say that, even Murkomen does not support. I will challenge any Kenyan who will show me anywhere where I say that the handshake is bad or building bridges initiative is bad and it's not.
That's why I'm asking you that specific question.
I moved the motion in the floor of the House in support of the building bridges initiative and the
I'm asking you as a person,
Yeah.
are you in support of it?
Of course, 100%.
And when you support it, what do you think it is about?
I think it's about, because the explanation I've had, and I've talked to the president personally, I've listened to the president talking to us, and his explanation to me and to us as a political leadership was that it's about politics not becoming a basis of enmity in the country. It's about ending politics of division and hatred and politics of bloodshed. It's about a sanitized political environment where people compete on issues, not compete on abuses, and compete based on policies, not compete about tribes.
Right.
So what a beautiful explanation. In fact, the reason
beautiful
why...
explanation.
Yes.
Yet they have been doing different fora at different counties, collecting views of people.
Yeah.
They have said that if you have...
No, let me come to that. The Building Bridges Initiative team, I've never interacted with them. I must be very honest.
Right.
I've never interacted as an individual. They have never visited my county. We have never interacted as Senate Jubilee PG or the Senate as a whole. And I think...
But you're still in support?
Of course, because...
So let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
They have been going around the counties,
Yes.
Collecting views.
Some of the counties.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have told people if you have concerns about the law and the constitution, you need changes put in place, you need to come on this side. First of all, are you an opponent of any referendum taking place anytime soon?
Well,
an opponent or proponent?
Let me tell you, even if I become an opponent or proponent of referendum, referendum will only happen any time in the country, not just now or in the future when Kenyans want to do it. You should not be asking people, do you support referendum or not? You should be asking people, what changes do you want to see in the constitution? Because...
And I'm coming to that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There are as many changes as almost the number of Kenyans that are existing in this country. The possibility of a referendum taking place will depend on us finding consensus on those changes.
And I'm asking
and the day you now say, do you support referendum or not, then I'll tell you I'm supporting depending on the changes.
All right. And I'm asking that question because the BBI, there have been calls that if you have issues that you want pursued through a referendum, you can table your proposals to them. Is this an avenue that you would consider using, tabling your recommendations to the BBI? Yes.
Some, I doubt that is true. I doubt that's true. The official communication BBI that I've seen has nothing to do with amending constitution. Most of the
part of the mandate of the Building Bridges Initiative was to look at the legal framework, talking about the constitution, the election laws, and people to present things that they feel
just saying,
need to be
to the extent,
changed.
as I told you, I've never interacted with them, but to the extent that I have read the official documents, they have never requested us for a constitutional amendment.
As a party or as a senator?
Or even an individual, or even a citizen of the Republic. I've never seen a document. In fact, the fake documents that went around in social media, like I always get fake quotes being put on my behalf on social media. The Building Bridges Initiative discounted those fake messages online. So I think, let's wait. If the Building Bridges Initiative wanted views on amending the Constitution, especially the Senate, the point of reference would have either written to the Speaker or myself or Senator Orengo. And I think that time will come.
Okay, let's cross over to a different matter, and that is on the New Year's Eve, the President spoke to the nation and he said that his focus this year will be on, of course, among other matters, to fight graft. And he said that this is a year that you'll be requiring the Assets Recovery Agency to confiscate property of persons that are suspected to have gotten there through the corrupt ways. And of course, 2018 was busy with a lot of arrests, where we had a lot of propositions from the side of the president saying that there will be lifestyle audits. And several people from your party were not in support of that. As you look at 2019, where do you see the Jubilee Party in fighting this graft and those mechanisms?
I think the first question was, is good. I mean, because I am always person who is accountable, you should actually, the question should come to me as to why did I say that the lifestyle audit was not anchored in law. When the president announced that we are going to do lifestyle audit as leaders, starting with himself, I say that it's not anchored in law. And I don't think that process ever started, because the truth is that there must be a legal framework that talks about how are you going to do the lifestyle audit and how is that audit going to be used to prosecute members of public and any other citizen. Number two, remember that 2013, 2017 elections, we promised as Jubilee that we will fight corruption, and we will ensure that we facilitate the institutions that deal with fighting corruption to do their job. And I must congratulate the DCI and the DPP for the courage they have to take on the fight against corruption robustly, zealously, and with a desire to end this graft. But also I must congratulate the judiciary for standing firm in the protection of citizen rights where they think that wrong people have been arrested. I am also on record in my Twitter arguing that, and you've seen saying that there is no need for people to be arrested on Friday's night and locked up for charges that
What is the problem with being arrested on a Friday?
Yes, and that's why I'm explaining myself, on charges that have been, on investigations that have been going on for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. There are arrests that are worth being arrested anytime, anywhere, in situ, in the place where you're found. Right. Whether it is a charge of murder, theft, you are found immediately stealing, or you are found when you are acting. But if you are investigating a particular person for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, the point of approach that you must have is to know that this person could be innocent, but is probably going to be convicted. And therefore, you must have that benefit of doubt in your mind and arrest people in an orderly manner in a way that they can be given their bail. And that's not confined to white-collar crimes, because I've seen people complaining out there saying that, oh, it's because of white-collar crime. Why would you arrest someone on traffic offense and lock them in? Why? Why would you want to lock them in? Perhaps you found them overlapping or overtaking or so forth. They are not drunk. If they are drunk, they should be arrested and locked in because you know you are helping. But if you are just someone had a scratch in his car and people are being arrested. So I'm just trying to say this, that there has certain application. The mindset of the DPP and DCI should be human rights-based mindset that supports Article 4, Chapter 4 of our Constitution. But prosecuting corruption must be done robustly and must be based on evidence-based. I think, and may be wrong theoretically, and I'm being just purely theoretical, as a lawyer, I think that because the DPP comes from an investigation, is a national NIS person, he comes from an investigation perspective, intelligence person. I suppose that his modus operandi for a long period of time was about collecting information, and that information he collects, he always believes that with finality that it is true. And his approvals of prosecutions are influenced by his working background, which is not prosecution, which is actually intelligence collecting. So it's easy for the DPP to agree with DCI so quickly with that, in the absence of independent review of because of his background. Right. For example, now we're being told, 11 people are being told now go home. You did nothing in a NYS issue, you can just go home. People should not suffer, my friend Sam.
Even though he said that should he find more evidence, he'll take them back to court.
But what did you expect him to say? He would say the same. But I'm just saying that if you are going to hold people and put them in cells for 10 days, and say that they are not going to get any bail because they are suspects, and then ultimately after 11 days, these people are told you there was nothing touching on you. We are exposing the state to compensations that are going to be huge in the country. And I therefore, a balance must be struck. And the last thing I want to say, I don't expect the person of DPP and the person of DCI to be criticizing the judiciary, to be actually saying that the judiciary is stopping. Because, So
in your view, where's this missing link?
The savior. I know, I'll tell you where the missing link is. The savior of the Republic, is actually having an independent judiciary. And I tell you, and I take my words where I have criticized the judiciary heavily, and I confess that there are certain situations out of the heat of the moment because of the last elections, some of us went overdrive in criticizing the judiciary. But with the benefit of hindsight, Sam, judiciary, if you are in government like myself, a ruling party like myself, you may feel that the power of the moment gives you the insulation to feel a big person.
Right.
But the day you will be exposed to, you will be alone. Yeah, the judiciary becomes the only savior where excesses of executive power come on you. And I think we must, and I want to tell the Chief Justice that he must stand firm in protecting the independence of judiciary. That does not mean in protecting corrupt people within the judiciary. And the balance, this is where the balance will be found. You have said, where is the balance found? The competition of institutions is going to, was bound to happen in the early days of our constitutional making. And I think the balance will find itself in the fullness of time. That balance will be found between protecting the rights of the accused, right, and at the same time ensuring that you convict those that are committing crimes.
Yeah. And I want to take you back to something that has been a perception from some of your colleague leaders, especially from the Rift Valley region, and they've been saying that when they look at this fight against graft, it appears sort of targeted. You guys are part of the ruling party. Why would you feel so, and what are you doing about it with this perception?
First of all, Sam, it's wrong to say that if you're in the ruling party, then you have control of prosecutions. It's even wrong to assume that the president has a say in who will be prosecuted or not.
So do you share the views
First of all, so if any political leader elected among ourselves is going to query the prosecutorial plan. For example, in the Kenya Power discussion, there are people who are saying that both the CEOs who are being prosecuted, none of them was in the helm as a CEO at the period when certain crimes happened. And so, you know, there is that kind of suspicion. There is a general suspicion, by the way, across the board. And that suspicion can only be confirmed through a court of law. There's a general suspicion that the investigation and the prosecution of individual is targeted, not along tribes per se, but along people who support certain political agendas or people who are seen to be leaning politically on this other side. That suspicion can only be tested. We should not gag people who are raising those issues, because in the fullness of time, when the court process has gone through, then that suspicion will be tested through the process of law. And I want us to keep focusing on fight against corruption vis-a-vis doing it right. Because the frustration that will come to the country is to find all these arrests that people have celebrated, if they are not going to achieve a certain degree of conviction and the seriousness of evidence that is going to be provided, it's going to become an illusion. People will run out and say, oh, you know, these arrests were just being done to hoodwink us. So it's important by the time someone is brought before court, a proper collection of evidence. And sadly, it's going to happen in many of these cases, and it has already happened in the NYS case, that many people are being lumped together. I saw even a situation where someone was being told that just by virtue of association, you are sitting in that office. There are also people who are saying some, and we must listen to them, that the prosecution has become a basis of removal of individuals within certain companies or government agencies, and it's a way of perpetuating succession in those institutions. And I think the only way we'll get out of that kind of conversation is to ensure that the evidence is watertight and that prosecution is not targeted.
I want us to wind up, but not before playing an up sound of President Uhuru Kenyatta on corruption, when he was saying that the war against graft has no tribe, has no community. If you have that up sound.
Ufisadi hauna rangi, hauna kabila, hauna dini. Ufisadi ni kitu mtu anafanya kibinafsi. Ukiiba, huibi hata pamoja na bibi yako ama na watoto wako. Unaiba wewe mwenyewe. Na ndipo nimeendelea kuhimizia Wakenya, hii jangwa ambaye tumesema ni jangwa ya taifa, tusikubali wengine wakuje na watumie kabila ama dini kutuzuia sisi kama Wakenya kupata haki yetu.
Right. So in light of that, and based on what you were saying, a question of perception and people feeling like they're being targeted because of their political ideologies that they hold, why is it so difficult to really allow the arms that deal with that to pursue the matters without your interference, whether or not it's elective targeting or what?
Let me just say this. We have no capacity to interfere with anybody.
No, I'm talking about your sentiments, because it creates a perception.
Oh, absolutely. We are a democracy. We are absolutely a democracy. People must be raised issues. For example, The former Jubilee Vice Chair the other day, in his explanation why he doesn't support William Ruto, he said that most people from his tribe are being prosecuted for maize. Most people from his tribe are being prosecuted for Kenya Power. You've seen the political sentiments of our competitors against the Jubilee, always emphasizing that because a Kalenjin has been prosecuted, it's William Ruto who should be to blame. You've seen even MPs from our region saying that because Kalenjins are the ones who are prosecuted because of maize. So how do you expect us some to keep quiet when the narrative is being driven around so-and-so has been prosecuted? Even where a person is not a Kalenjin, it's been said that this one is a different tribe, but it's close to William Ruto. This one is different tribe, is close to William Ruto. The narrative that is coming to us, forget about how we are responding. The narrative that is being put out there. And I agree with the president 100% when he says, and it's the law, crime is an individual, I mean, you take individual responsibility, personal responsibility. It's not collective, it's not corporate. I mean, it's to the extent that that individual has committed that crime. Right. We are calling out those who actually are perpetuating that narrative, or who might be using the prosecution process and the fight against corruption to create a narrative. And I hope some, because we are in this country, I hope I will not see any elected leader worth its salt who will stand out there and say, because so-and-so is a Kalenjin and is charged in court, you can see those tribes and William Ruto is corrupt. I think that is childish. So
finally, you were opposed to the lifestyle audit, and the president thought that this is the right way to ensure that people reap from where they sow. So as a legislator, the leader of the majority at the Senate, of course, even if you're not at the National Assembly, you have some influence. So what have you done to ensure that the fight against graft by the government of the party that you belong to succeeds by passing legislation or influencing legislation in Parliament?
First of all, Sam, I did not oppose the lifestyle audit. I say
you
that
said it's not uncut in law. So
absolutely.
How do you help that?
Some, for example, the president said it will start with him and it will be done publicly. Then it will go to the deputy. Has it been done? It's not been done because there's no legal framework for doing so. Yeah?
So how do you help
And
that?
I never imagined that there's a way that to make that possible. But since there was a proposal from the executive that is possible to be done, I said, and I think I'm being misquoted and being misinterpreted, I said, to the extent that there is no legal framework, it will not be possible to execute it. But if we get a legislative proposal from the executive on how it is going to be done, or from EACC, or from any other institution, we are going to support that legislative proposal 100%. Now, you've asked me about what we've done against the fighting against corruption. Some, not just today. We've been doing that from 2013. You know for sure that we play a major role as a Senate in fighting corruption in the counties. In these ways, one, we have a county accounts committee where I served before, and we have robustly made serious recommendations about certain counties and the fight against corruption. We have been passing legislation that deals with ensuring that prudent management and use of money in the counties, including capping of expenditures in the counties. And I have been one of the proposals of the law that caps the amount of money that's going to be put in recurrent expenditure in the counties. So our role in, and fight against corruption, by the way, cannot just be a separate agenda. It must be done daily. Right. Because even as you do road, you must fight corruption. Even as you do, it must be inbuilt that public resources must be used for what they are. And when I was making a lot of noise about fighting corruption in the counties, people were saying, I'm fighting devolution. Go to your records. I came to this show. I went around the country telling governors and counties they must become more accountable. But at that point in time, because it's for political expediency, people say that Murkomen is being used by Uhuru and Ruto to fight devolution. Right. But I'm happy that now we are at a stage in the country that everybody is being brought on board. In terms of the issue of fighting corruption. And I'm happy also that the prosecutions that are taking place are no shield. There is no shield any further on the fact that you are associated to which political party. And I'm hoping that if it's county officials, including governors, that are going to be held accountable, we need to see watertight evidence, but also prosecution of those
Thank
individuals.
you so much, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. I just want to read one remark from a viewer. He or she says that, let's call a spade, not a big spoon. The DP is being shortchanged and Murkomen is acting as if the house is holy. Please get out of Jubilee before it's too late. Otherwise, mtajua hamjui. That's my 2 cents.
I think it's important to respond to that. It's very wrong to always perceive that if you have certain issues you want to deal with within Jubilee, and there are concerns that have been raised, we have party structures that we can deal with those issues. Number two, Jubilee is, who are you saying to get out of Jubilee? To go to where? Because Jubilee is a national party. It is recruiting more people. It's not about running away from Jubilee. And that's why I told you, even our friend David Murathe, I'm persuading him that he should not go anywhere. He will still have an opportunity now or in the next president's regime to continue serving us either in the party or in the government.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, once again, the majority leader of the Senate, for making time for us.
Thank you.
We'll wake you up again someday.
Thank you very much, Sam.
So thank you for coming.
And I wish every Kenyan a happy new year, and I hope the spirit of reconciliation and working as a team will permeate in every part of the country.
I hope you will be part of that process to ensure there's reconciliation.
I think it is us who are leading the process, but it's the citizens who will make it happen.
Do it in words and in action.
Thank you.
All right, you've been watching Daybreak. Of course, we take a short break, but when we return, Willis Raburu will be talking to Welly about Engage. So let's wait for that after the break.